Business webinar. My name is Sasha Crane, and I am a commissioner to the Governor's Commission for Women. I would like to begin on behalf of myself and all of the commissioners for the Governor's Commission for Women by wishing Governor Abbott a speedy recovery, and know that the governor, Cecilia, and their daughter Audrey are all in our thoughts and prayers. I would also like to welcome our attendees today. If you've been following our previous webinars in this series, covering all 5 regions of the state of Texas, welcome back. We're so excited to have everyone here with us today. At this time, please take a moment to say hello to one another in the chat and tell us where you're from. Texas is among the leading states for women-owned business, boasting nearly 1 million. In 2020, Texas was named the #1 women-owned business-friendly state and had 5 of the top 50 fastest-growing women-owned and led companies. The Governor's Commission for Women was established to serve as a champion resource for women throughout the state of Texas. The Commission is dedicated to advancing economic opportunities for Texas women business owners and entrepreneurs, and we do this by providing education, resources, and referral services. Today, we're here to do just that. We hope that you walk away from this webinar today with information to make you feel empowered, inspired, and with some tools to help you through your business journey. We have a great panel of women entrepreneurs and women business leaders that live and work in our very own South Texas region. I would like to take this time to give a special thanks to our platinum sponsor, Sempra, for your generous contribution to the Beacon State Fund and to the Governor's Commission for Women, Initiative for Women-Owned Businesses. We will now play a short video from Sempra.
Hi, my name is Carolyn Benton-Amon, Vice President and General Counsel for one of Sempra's operating companies, Sempra LNG. For those of you who don't know Sempra, we're an energy infrastructure company, and we're focused on connecting millions through the power of leadership, innovation, and technology. We're putting a lot of energy behind Texas, and we're excited to continue to expand our efforts in a state that is helping advance a better future for all. We're also thrilled to work in a state that's been named one of the best when it comes to creating jobs for women, supporting female-owned businesses and entrepreneurs. The Governor's Commission for Women receives our support because it aligns with our company's value of championing people through its emphasis on promoting diversity and empowering female leadership. At Sempra, we believe that embracing diverse backgrounds and fostering an inclusive workplace leads to better decision-making, advances innovation, and ultimately drives a high-performance culture that is resilient and reflective of the communities we serve. Nationally, we've been recognized for our success, including named to Fortune's Most Admired Companies list, the Bloomberg's Gender Equality Index, and the Corporate Equality Index. And locally, we've established GROW, which stands for Grow Responsibilities and Opportunities for Women. And through it, we're championing career opportunities for women. The bottom line, creating an environment where all women feel empowered at work will be central to our continued success as a company and as a state. We thank the Commission for inviting us to be a part of this important program, and we thank all of you for your participation.
Welcome back, and thank you to all of our sponsors and supporters, including Westfall, PR, and Minerva Consulting. Throughout the webinar, you will meet leading professionals in financial management, funding resources, online marketing, and social media. At this time, I would like to introduce our moderator, who is a friend of mine and a fellow commissioner, Nathali Parker. Nathali is co-owner and CEO of KLP Construction Supply, a heavy civil regular dealer and distributor of construction materials with 5 stocking locations around Texas. Nathali and her sister, Karen Parker Rogers, started KLP in 2012. Today, she serves as the associate co-chair for the Austin chapter of Association of General Contractors, Heavy Civil and Utilities Division, Future Young Leaders Committee member for Austin and DFW chapters, and as a member of the Workforce Development Task Force. In addition to her already busy schedule, Nathali has been appointed to the board of Texas Asphalt Pavement Association and serves as chairman for the associate division. She's been with the Governor's Commission for Women since 2018, and she currently sits as our vice chair. Welcome to South Texas, Nathali.
Welcome everybody to this great event happening right now. And I think I've been a part of the other webinars that we've hosted, and there's just so much tremendous information to take home today. And then also we have, you don't want to miss this, is our pitch competition. And that is following this webinar. So it's at the very end of the webinar. And if you can stick around and hear women-owned businesses pitch how they pivoted through the pandemic and kept their doors open and stuck it out, got creative, what they needed to do to make this transition during very unknown times. You'll get to see and hear what they did and learn from them, but you'll also get to see who wins the $7,500 cash prize. This is provided by the Beacon State Fund and Sempra, and it will be announced today at the end of the webinar and the pitch competition series. So stick around for that. And then obviously this is an interactive, even though we're on Zoom and we can't be in person, that doesn't mean that it cannot be interactive. So we definitely want any questions that you have, please type them in for any of the panelists. And after each session, we're gonna try to have a Q&A at that point. And then at the very end, before we start our pitch competition, we'll have another moment for Q&A between, for all the panelists. So when you type in your question, please address it to a particular panelist if you want to hear directly from them. Otherwise, we're going to open it up to the floor of panelists at that time. So we're going to try to make sure that we answer all your questions that you have. So again, I'm so happy that you're here. Thanks for spending the time, and we're just going to get started. So, the first panel is we wanted to kick it off with a success story and inspiration for anybody and all the women out there that either are thinking of owning a business and starting a business, to ones that already have a business. And we all need inspiration all the time. So I can attest to that, owning my own business. So we have a great presenter today to share her success story. Her name is Claudia Ochoa. She's the president and owner of G8 Utilities, and she will be our first speaker. She made a lot of transitions in life. She's located in Mission, Texas. G8 Utilities is located in Mission, Texas, where she oversees the function of human resources and administration for the company. But prior to this, Claudia served as CFO for her family business, 8A Builders, which is part of the residential building construction industry. And then, but prior to that, she made a huge pivot in her life and transitioned, because she's actually a registered neonatal nurse, and still to this day continues to have her license in the state of Texas. So welcome, Claudia. We are so happy to have you here, and we'd love to get started. I guess the first question is, can you explain to everyone how you made that transition from nurse to CFO of a construction company, and what made you feel empowered to make such a drastic change?
Hi, good morning. First of all, I want to thank you, Nathali and Sasha, and the Governor's Commission for Women for having me as a guest on this panel. I'm truly humbled and really what an honor. Like Nathali said, I'm the president and owner of G8 Utilities, a hub certified utilities company here located in Mission. And at the moment, we specialize in sewer connections and septic tank installs. I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous, but bear with me. I did take a leap of faith, literally a leap of faith, and left my career as a licensed vocational nurse to jump full-time into the construction world. And like my husband would tell you, I would not take any other position than CFO in the company. It was a perfect job for me. What fueled it at that time was the desire really to spend more time with my family and to be available for my family. I love my job as a nurse, And to this day, I miss working with babies, of course, and I miss my nursing family. Hats off to them, to nurses, of course. It's a tough career. Working 12 and 13-hour shifts really took me away from my family. Like I said, that's what fueled my change, right? My desire for change. When the opportunity arose with our construction company, we were growing and my husband needed me to step in and help. I jumped in with both feet, really, and I loved it. I love it still. I've learned a lot about bidding process, about more on construction, and really have gotten to spend more time with my family, and it's been a blessing for us.
What did you have to learn? Like, how did you learn? Was it just on the job training? Did you have mentors? Did you take classes? What did you do to make that transition from neonatal nurse to CFO?
It has been a lot of on-the-job training, but we've been in the business for over 16 years, and I know I've picked things up here and there. My husband has been a great mentor, and he really has encouraged me to pursue this dream, right, of owning a business.
That's so wonderful. It's so important to have support.
Yes.
Definitely within the family, and especially if your spouse is your partner. And
yes.
So you definitely need to have their support. And then any family support is wonderful. What other support did you lean on, or did you find important outside of your immediate family to be able to make this transition and grow in your position?
So some of the resources that I have relied on, very basic, honestly. I'm always looking for opportunities to learn, and workshops like these are so important. I'm constantly, I subscribe to the SBA workshops. I'm subscribing now to the Governor's Commission for Women workshops. Anything to do with small business or women-owned business, I follow, I attend, and I learn, right? Even today, I know I will pick up some information that is going to help me. Just always look for opportunities to learn. I also reached out, super important, and I recommend it for anybody that hasn't done it yet here in the Rio Grande Valley. Reach out to your PTAC. Is it PTAC office? Mm-hmm. They're the Procurement Technical Assistance Center located at UTRGV. My contact there is Orlando Castañeda. He has been very, very helpful. They are full of resources and free information, available to us, not only to women-owned businesses, but any small business. I've also reached out to my SBA office, and they've been great, very useful. I don't know if that's helpful, but.
No, it's very helpful. I think, we did the same. I did the same. I attended every seminar possible that was given so that we could learn what the opportunities are, we could network, we could understand. And the PTAC office, I cannot say enough about PTAC. I don't care if you have a PTAC office in your vicinity, you should be at their office all the time and get an advocate for you, because they're tremendous.
Yes.
We grew up in Round Rock, Texas, in the Austin area, and at the time there was 0 PTAC. So we would drive to Fort Worth or drive down to San Antonio to spend time with our PTAC officers, and they just hold your hand. Like, it's so overwhelming. You're drinking from a fire hose, you're stressed, you don't know. So they kind of, calm you down, take your hand, sit you down, and really walk through these kinds of processes for you. So that's awesome, Claudia. And the audience, please, get to know your PTAC officers.
Yes, and I see somebody in the comments asking, what is PTAC? And it is a resource. It's an office, a resource here in the Rio Grande Valley. It's located at the UTRGV, I guess, remote office campus. I'll put the maybe contact information right in the chat to help those that are asking. Oh, somebody already did.
Yeah.
Yes, super, super helpful. I'm sorry, Natalie. And I don't know, this is
the link.
painfully obvious. It's my first conference and my first time presenting. So I'm very nervous.
So, and like Laura, Leal Estrada is saying in the comments, the SBA office is separate from PTAC, but it is still part of the small business development. So you actually want to have both. And
Yes.
when you go to sba.gov, you can register your business and you can put in your work codes. And then what you can do, which I highly recommend, is that you allow for notification on all the different topics that you want to know about. And they'll send you what workshops are happening. And so the SBA will perform workshops all over your area. And now they've done Zoom kind of workshops or online webinar workshops in the past, but definitely now with, the COVID situation, they've gone very much to Zoom. So you can easily attend them and learn and understand and then implement what you learn. So I think that's interesting. Did you ever, I find it interesting that you still today continue to attend workshops.
Yes. I look for every opportunity to learn. We don't stop learning, right? And
no.
And I will pick something up at every workshop, at every conference. Definitely.
Now you work in a very male-dominated industry. You and I are both in construction, so we're both very clear what that environment entails. And I'd love to hear how you navigated as a woman and as a female, as a wife, as a mother, what that requires of you to manage and lead men.
Yes, and I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that I haven't run into issues, right? Like maybe male employees that have a hard time taking orders from a woman, right? Or a contractor that prefers to speak with my husband instead of me. But I just don't take it personal. I don't take it personal, right? I understand that it's not a reflection of me or my capabilities, right? And I move forward as positive and as professional as I can. I mean, the focus is always the success of my company. And really that's what it is. I also know that respect fosters respect, right? I am professional and I lead by example. My crew recognizes my truck. So they know that if I expect them to be at a job site early, I will be at the job site before they're there, right? And they recognize my truck. And also I appreciate them. I appreciate their hard work. I'm known to stop by with food, with snacks, cold drinks. And like I've always said, and I've told them, if the company does well, then we all reap the rewards. It's not about me.
I mean, that's so important, Claudia. I love that you're saying these things because, respect does, when you give respect, it comes back to you, but also appreciation. I think everybody wants to feel appreciated. And men especially everybody. I can't say especially men versus women because we all want to be appreciated. Yes. But when you're in a male-dominated industry and you're the boss and you're the female, you really have to show a different type and level of appreciation so that they will listen to you and then they will walk through fire for you at that point. I find to be the case. I think that's amazing. How has your husband helped support, when you come home and let's say the contractor, your sub doesn't want to talk to you, or let's say you just had a bad experience with someone, male or female, it doesn't matter. And they're showing disrespect. How do you come home and regroup for the next day?
He's my sounding board, but I have learned to take it upon myself and just leave things at work, right? Or like I said, just I don't take it personal. I just very confident in what I bring to the table, and like I said, it's not a reflection of me, right? If somebody is having a bad day or treated me like I didn't want to be treated, it's not a reflection necessarily of me or what I can and can't do at my job. It's a reflection of them, and just, you know, it is what it is. We take it day by day, moment by moment. My husband is my sounding board. I do, you know, I do get home and I do gripe, and I think he's developed more patience, right? Because sometimes it's hard for men to listen and not want to take action, right?
Absolutely.
But I've had to remind him, hey, I just need you to listen, right? I'm just voicing what went wrong today, and that's it. Don't do anything, I'll take care of it, but just listen. And he really is learning to do just that.
So a highlight that I like what you've said is that you don't take it personal. Mm-hmm. And that's really been a key for our success too. But I think any woman in a leadership role, whether you're the owner or not, just a leadership role in leading men and women, is that you can't take, and we have, you know, as women, we're all feelings and emotions, and we really have to step out of being female versus just human. And we can't take these things personal and take it like, oh, I'm, you know, let's say take it like a girl. That's not the right way to say it, but we can't allow it to stop us from achieving what we're here to achieve, and that's the success of your company, right?
Yeah. So, and just be confident. Be confident in your abilities, in your knowledge, in the field of work that you do, right? For me, it has been nursing, construction, and now utilities, but be confident, be knowledgeable, stand firm, and remember, and like I said, you know, confidence is key, and not taking it personal, because if you're good with what you're doing, you know, let the world go round, right? You move forward, be positive, be professional, and it's all that you can do.
So I can't remember the name, and I'm so sorry. Oh, here we go. Yuriana Casas had a great question. How did you move from CFO and to being president owner for G8? And how did you start and have the idea to start G8?
So already being involved in the construction world, right, as CFO for my husband's company, we involved in this world, you start to notice, okay, what is the need in the area, right? What is something that I could start? What is something that I could jump to that is in the same field? I can have the support of my husband. I've already made contacts in that field. What can I do? And utilities was perfect for me. And as we started the company, it's a new company. We are a small growing company at this point, but just taking your knowledge, looking at the need around you, and that's how I became president. I started this company.
That's great. I mean, that's, you know, if you see a niche and let's say something missing, a gap, and you can fulfill the gap. But that, you know, that's also quite scary at the same time, to kind of branch out on your own, you know, and take on something else. I have a question about, you know, we in our next panel, we're talking about finances. How important is cash flow and finances for you?
Very important. So when I jumped from my nursing career to CFO and more to my own company, and that is that's the advice that I would give when you move from maybe being employed by a bigger company or having that kind of job to your own business, is you need to have money set aside for this purpose, right? You need to have a plan in place. Right now with COVID and the uncertainty of times, you need to have money saved away for a rainy day, right? We can't depend. I know that we've, you know, there's been all kinds of help from, maybe the government, the PPP loans and stuff like that. You cannot always depend on that, have money in the bank set aside. Right now, I feel for my business, I drive by and see all these new machines and equipment that I would love to have for my company. That's what I look for now, right? But I have to be very conscious of the uncertainty of times and operate on a different level. Save my cash flow for maybe personnel, for labor, for that kind of stuff, to take care of my employees in case something happens.
That takes a lot of discipline. Yes, that takes a lot of discipline, because you finally get to, you sacrifice. You get to a point where you start making a little bit of money, but you have your list of, let's say, material items. Oh, I want to upgrade my vehicle. I want to do this to the house. but you don't know what's to come.
No.
And you have to, whenever you make some money in the company, it goes right back into growing the company.
Exactly.
And that's a very difficult situation, in the sense of having to really practice discipline.
And I think right now it's maybe a temporary way of thinking, maybe right now, right? There will be time where we're doing great and we can purchase those wants, right? But for now, I think it's a very smart idea, knowing what we know, what we've learned, right, this last year and a half, is, hey, let's be a little bit cautious. We do want to grow. We are growing, but let's look at what is absolutely necessary. What is necessary for growth, and what is necessary to carry on the day-to-day, work that we need to do. And let's just be saving for that rainy day. And for our line of work, it really is very literal, right? For the rainy days, because we don't work.
You don't
when
work
it rains.
in construction. You don't work when it rains. That means, and people say, oh, well, good for you. You don't have to work. No, that means we don't get paid.
Yeah.
That means that I'm not bringing in money to pay my overhead.
Right. Exactly.
That's coming out of my pocket.
I used to love rainy days.
No, it's a catch-22, because we need rain, to live, to be alive, and to grow food and drink water and all those things. And then at the same time, in our industry, you don't want it to rain for too long. Start raining on Friday afternoon and stop on
Exactly.
How important is your personal credit score?
It is very important. So, word of advice, if you haven't started your small business and you're looking into that, take care of your credit. Maybe you have a plan that the next 6 months, right, you're going to start your business. Really be vigilant. Take care of your credit, fix any issues, because we need, obviously you need credit to purchase. For us, it's equipment, right? Equipment, supplies, stuff like that. It is very important. Very, very important.
What is your relationship to your banker?
So my relationship to my banker is, well, my banker, I bank with a bank my brother works at, right?
That's great.
So we're good. But luckily, we have connections with, I have connections with my husband's bank as well, right? Because I took care of his finances in his business. So yeah, it is actually very important that you have a good working relationship with your banker.
Yeah,
definitely.
Vital.
And your local SBA office.
Yeah,
like we talked about.
How often are you? A lot of people don't understand what that means. Your relationship with your banker. You're basically needing to keep them updated on what's happening in the market. It's your job to do that. It's not their job to do the research. So it's your job to meet with them and say all the good things that are happening. So when it comes up to your line of credit, right? You have a line of credit at your bank.
Right.
Right. And so every year you get reevaluated. Is that correct?
Exactly. And so it brings me to another point. It's also very important that you have your financial paperwork in order, right? So not only have a great banker, but also have a great accountant. And keep your numbers up to date, your paperwork, because the bank will ask you for profit and loss statement and stuff like that. So make sure that your financial paperwork, that you have a good accountant or bookkeeper, good banker, and you have a relationship and open communication with both.
Great. So I know I asked some questions, I referenced a couple of questions, but right now I'd like to open up the floor to ask any other questions to Claudia while we have her here. And does anybody have any questions directly for her? Okay, from Maisi. So you have to please forgive me if I do not pronounce your name properly. But I do want to acknowledge you also. So when interviewing banks and bankers, are there specific questions we need to ask them as new women-owned small businesses that you recommend?
Maybe not necessarily as a woman-owned small business, but maybe have that open line of communication. Let them know, hey, I have this account here with you. I want to touch base. This is my card. What is your email address? I want to open a line of credit. Guide me. They're going to guide you in stuff like that, right? And it's good to introduce yourself, get to know them that way. Hey, even the PPP loans, people that had direct communication with their bankers were able to get maybe faster help or more direct access to those funds because they were crucial in leading us there.
Yes, I agree. What I would say also is that you have to have a business plan, and they may not even look at it in detail. You have to have experience, and you have to come in with what you're willing to put up for collateral. So you better have your credit score ready. And the bankers in the next session will get into the details. So stick around for that for sure. But a business plan is important that shows a viable business. You better come in with your deed to your house, cash in the bank, and a relationship with your banker. So I would say a community bank is definitely a way to go, because then you can really establish that relationship and get to the top faster than you can with like a Citibank or a Wells Fargo. And I'm not putting them down, but small businesses kind of get lost in that shuffle. So,
and I'm not a financial expert by any means, but it is good. I know how important a good relationship is with a banker. Yeah. And have them know you.
Absolutely. And then I would say, there was a good, Michele Robinson is saying, ask the bank how they can help you too. So you definitely want to open the dialogue. Yes. You definitely, because they're looking for good clients too. It's not like they don't want a good client. But they have to vet you to be a good client. Another good question is, how do you retain your employees? This is a great question right now. I'd love to hear what you have to say about that, Claudia.
Well, I don't know if I'm the only one going through this, right? But it's been a little difficult, right? It's been a little difficult retaining employees or finding a workforce, right? What can you do? Pay a very, very competitive wage, take care of your employees, have their safety and their well-being in mind at all times. It's all we can do. I mean, this is because I tell you, I'm a new business, so I can't sit here and tell you that I'm an expert in everything, but my experience has been, hey, great wages, we take care of our employees, appreciate them, respect them, but it has been difficult. We've run into some challenges, but we keep going.
Amen. You have to differentiate yourself with the appreciation, paying well, just creating a let's say a unique or special work environment that can differentiate you to your competitors, so that if your competitor offers another 25 cents, an hour, or 50 cents an hour next door, they don't just run, because that just the dollar value doesn't give you the full value of what you have created in your culture.
Exactly. And in our field, it's super important to have strong, knowledgeable supervisors on hand, right, on the field.
Yes, absolutely. So that's
management.
May the force be with you, and anybody else that is in a hiring position to get good employees. I think we need to create. I believe that we really need to create a culture in Texas, as it used to be, of taking pride in having a job, and there's dignity in work. I don't care what it is. There's just dignity in work because it contributes to your community. Having a job contributes directly to the community. It invigorates the community. There's opportunities. It creates creativity. All those things. So
definitely, I agree.
So, well, we're at our time limit right now for this first session, and Claudia, I just can't thank you enough for being here and all the great, pearls of wisdom that you've given us today. And please stick around if you can. There might be more questions for you at the end. And then, of course, if you'd like to see, we'd love for you to stick around to watch the pitch competitions. But I do want to say good luck. May the force be with you, and all the great success for G8 Utilities. So
thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you, Claudia. All right, so now next is our next session. This is pretty exciting. We're going to talk about financial management and funding resources. Our panel consists of Michele Robinson. She's the Senior Vice President and Market President of Texas Regional Bank. And then we also have Leal Estrada, and she's the Market Manager and Business Development Officer of LiftFund. So we have two great experts here with us today, and I know that they had chimed in, which was great, on the chat. So really appreciate all of that. And so we're just gonna get started. Michele, we're gonna give some bios and backgrounds. So take a couple of minutes and tell us who you are. And so Michele, why don't you start first?
Sure. I'm Michele Robinson. I'm with Texas Regional Bank down in Harlingen, Texas. I'm a Senior Vice President and Market President. I've been in lending for a little over 25 years. So I've done everything in the bank there is to do. So I have a background in a little bit of everything. I'm married and have 2 children. So that's my background. I sit on several boards in the community, the hospital board, the chamber board, several nonprofit boards. So
great. Wow. And Laura?
Well, I'm an old banker from the 70s, so I have a history of banking. I've been in multiple leadership roles. I am now with LiftFund. I'm the market manager. LiftFund is a nonprofit. We are a micro business lender and small business lender. I have 2 adult children. I've been with LiftFund now for 8 years. So technically I've been working since I was a little girl, right? And I think the best thing about what I've done in my lifetime is that I've seen a lot of cycles of events happening. Last year was unbelievable, right? And I promised Michele I wouldn't talk about PPP, but it was an unbelievable year for all of us. I chair 2 nonprofits, and I sit on a couple of boards. And I think one of the best things of working for a nonprofit right now is it helped me understand how if you're chairing a nonprofit, you're running a business, right? Because a nonprofit is managed by its board. And I have learned so much from working with a nonprofit, because I come out of the traditional lending world and worked with the national banks since the early 90s when they were allowed into Texas. So it's a huge transition, but I love working with small business owners. I'm not entrepreneurial in spirit. I like my paycheck, right? So congratulations to those who have ventured off into the dark side, as they say, and go for it. It's just an interesting. My husband is a business owner. My daughter has thought about being a business owner, and my mom and dad were business owners, and I think I saw that, and I said no, that's not for me. But I love watching businesses start and grow and continue to prosper. So thank you for allowing us to be here this morning.
We're so happy the two of y'all are here. I mean, the amount of wisdom and knowledge and information that you're going to share with us is, I'm excited to learn from you. So why don't we get started on some questions? I know we had some financial questions that we talked about earlier, but let's go back to Michele on how important is it to have a personal relationship with your bank, and how does somebody develop that relationship?
Yes, I feel like y'all touched on that. It was awesome. It was great to hear from a customer's perspective. From a banker's side, I think it's great to have a relationship with your banker. I think when a customer calls you, it's good for us to know them, to know their financial background, to know that we have their profit and loss statement and their balance sheet and their tax returns on file. We know what their financial condition looks like. If they're wanting, new equipment, or they're wanting a line of credit, or they're stuck in a bind for whatever reason, we already have their stuff on file. So I think it's very important to have that relationship with your customer. If it's somebody new that's coming in, you're starting from ground zero. It may delay the process. It may take longer. We don't know who they are. We may not even know their type of business. So I do think it's very important to have that relationship. So we're not starting, at the ground level and going up. And I think the way that they start that business is they, like you said, go in to their local community bank, find someone that they know, go to their chamber of commerce, basically being out in the community, engaging the pipeline, anyone, just finding a banker that they know.
You have to get involved.
Yes.
Whatever you're doing, you have to get involved full force into your community.
Yes.
So, Laura, what are some key things that someone needs to consider when starting a business?
Key things, I'm going to go back to what Michele said. Go to your banker first and find out what they offer. I am usually the secondary resource as a micro business lender, but go to your banker and find out what they're looking for so that you can understand what you need to be doing. I see one of my friends, Anna, she was a startup business, and she came to the Small Business Development Center. I think she came to me first, thinking because I'm the capital resource, right? But immediately we steered her to go to the Small Business Development Center. They have folks here in Corpus Christi. They have a phenomenal staff of people who used to be business owners, and they came here looking for ways to start their business, develop their business plan, understand what the banker was asking for. I have found as a previous banker that customers are afraid to go into the bank to go talk to you. I used to dress in a suit every single day, right? And I guess we look intimidating. And that intimidation rubs off, especially if you're somebody like me, that I have a hard thinking face when I'm thinking really hard. And then they find out I'm a really nice person, right? So developing that relationship with your banker is first. And the key thing was find out what they do, let them know what you're thinking about doing. And then most of them will direct you back to another resource, which is the Small Business Development Center or LiftFund or another lender like PeopleFund. I see Martha, my former colleague, is joining us today. But get to know everything about your business. I cannot tell you the frustration that the bankers have when they tell me I'm sending somebody to you because they need some help. And I find out that they need a lot of help, right? They're not properly prepared. They don't have their business plan. They don't know what a business plan is. They don't understand why we're asking for it. And as a small business owner, I think Claudia said it best. You really need to understand everything in a different way. Be prepared. Get all the studying you can get. If you sign up with the SBA or the Small Business Development Center in your groups, even with LiftFund, there are ongoing seminars. I participate in seminars all the time. Learning is important. Power is, I've been in banking since 1973. Things have changed. And I constantly go and learn something new. I took a profit mastery class that was offered through the SBDC earlier this year. What a phenomenal course for business owners. Those are very important. Learn what you're doing. Be the expert in your industry if you're going to open up a small business. And don't tell me, oh, I've never been in the business before, but I want to open it. And I said, well, why? Have good fundamental answers, but do your homework first before you go see your banker. Do your homework in the industry that you want to do. Your local colleges through the SBDC have that information available to you at no cost. They're sitting in a college atmosphere and they can gather that demographic for you, but you have to be willing to take that time. And that's your opportunity. Time is important. And it's more important to take the time to challenge yourself to learn more and understand your industry better so that you can be better qualified when you're ready to start your business. And I put in the chat there to pull your credit before you do anything else. Don't go looking for credit, and don't go get somebody to fix your credit. We teach people how to correct their credit without having to pay for that service. So I'm preaching to the choir to some of you, but I just think it's real important if you're getting ready to start a business, know why you want to be in that business. I listened to something on Squawk Box once, and I forget who the person, the business owner was. He said, do not leave your full-time job. Stay gainfully employed. If you think you want to open a business in this particular industry, go get a part-time job doing what you think you want to do. If you hate it, no loss, no gain there, right? You took a part-time job, you still have your full-time job, but now you know you should never be in that industry. A lot of people don't know why they really want to go into the business that they're trying to start. So learn the techniques. I do a lot of outside reading. I listen to these seminars a lot to get better educated. And then, I think it's just important that you continue to be a partner, find a mentor. SCORE offers mentors. I had a business owner call me last night just to bounce ideas off of me. She is an accountant, and she needed to bounce ideas off of me, how to help her business customers who are not paying her. So don't be afraid to build a relationship. I remember back in the 70s, it was called Relationship 101. It still applies today. Get to know Michele Robinson, get to know her team, get to know people in your community banks, and then find out who's going to be able to help you best as possible.
Laura, you covered so many topics that I think are vital. And I'd like to hear from Michele as the banker, how important is the business plan, one, initially, and then two, updating it regularly?
I think the business plan, if you're just starting a business, is very important. If you're coming to us with a new company that you're just starting, it's very important. That tells us what your idea is and what your forecast is and what you think the company is going to do. As an existing company, I think it is important. A lot of people forget that. I think it is important, especially if you're going to grow the company. That kind of gives you goals to set and things to reach for in the company, things to budget along the way. I think, the business plan is something that you kind of set your budget by. And I think a lot of companies forget to do that. It's not something a lot of banks look at or will even ask you for, is a business plan on an existing company, especially one that's doing well. That's just something that you might have to do yourself. So I do think
sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay. I was just going to say, I think it's important.
Yeah. It's interesting because when my sister and I, we started, we had a business plan. It didn't really mean anything because we didn't have any experience. We didn't really have a lot of money. We didn't have collateral. So we weren't very viable for the bank. And we had to figure out how to close that gap, which we did. It was very difficult. But at the same time, what we put in the business plan, we implemented. So the banker got to see that over time, that what we showed them at the beginning, we implemented throughout. And then when we went to go get a line of credit starting at one amount, and then we wanted to jump significantly to the next amount so we could actually grow and truly grow, it was very important that we had that business plan and that we showed them that we had worked the plan.
Correct. And you did what you said you were going to do. Because sometimes when people give us a business plan, their numbers are very skewed.
Right.
You know, that's the fault you see is that they project their numbers to be 3 times higher than what they actually are the first couple of years.
Right. So you know, that, I mean, so it kind of goes into a cash flow statement.
Yes.
So, you know, let's say you don't get the line of credit that you initially wanted. That doesn't mean that you stop being in business. You have to figure out some other way to do it and bridge that credit gap. And maybe that's where you go to LiftFund or other areas. But how important is that cash flow statement?
So this is a tricky question, and it can be answered all kinds of ways. So, you know, I think a cash flow statement is very important for a company. A cash flow statement shows, you know, basically how you brought money in and how you've spent money, and it basically measures, you know, your ability to cover your expenses in the near future, unlike a balance sheet and a profit and loss statement that show at a particular time. And so when you're borrowing money, how do I put this into words? You know, when you're borrowing money, and you said it, a lot of times the bank isn't going to lend you money at 100%. They want to show that you have a vested interest in whatever, whether it's a vehicle or a company or real estate. You're going to have to show your 20, 30% into that company, or whatever it is that you're purchasing. And so a cash flow statement is important to show that you have equity, that you have assets. And so there's lots of places you can go to provide a cash flow statement or put together a cash flow statement of an existing company. I know I'm kind of jumping around. So if you use QuickBooks, if you're a business, QuickBooks has one, or Excel has a basic one that you can just keep adding to. A lot of our customers don't use QuickBooks. Some of them do. Or we give them an Excel template and we just say, keep adding lines to it, and we kind of show them, walk them through them. Or if you have a CPA, they'll help you get started. Someone mentioned earlier that have a good CPA, and I think that's crucial if you have a company to have a good CPA. But a cash flow statement is imperative, you know, that you work with your cash flow statement. I hope that answered your question okay.
Yes, it did. I mean, it's the cash flow statement. We have to submit a cash flow statement every year.
Yes.
And we are judged. So the bank could pull our line of credit at any time.
Yes.
And yes, I think that's something that people need to understand, so that just because you got in and got your first year of a line of credit, every year you have to reapply, and you tell them what kind of credit line you're asking for. Then they take your cash flow statement and your personal credit. They run your personal credit, and they run all of this background to see if you're still viable for your existing line and then what you're asking for.
Correct. And so basically, like I said, you know, a cash flow statement, you know, shows if you can cover or have the ability to cover your future expenses. And so if the bank looks at your cash flow statement, your profit and loss, your balance sheets, your tax returns, your personal credit, and they determine that you cannot service that debt, they're not going to extend your line of credit.
Right.
Yes.
And so let's talk about line of credit versus cash and cash reserves and how to balance that. Because you in order to grow, you need cash. And in order to grow, you need a line of credit, but then you need cash, but then you need to pay it. But then, so there's a chicken in the egg, and then there's more chicken in the egg, and then there's another level of chicken in the egg. So I'd like to hear from both of you what advice do you have?
You know, I think someone touched a minute ago on especially during a pandemic, you know, typically we like our customers to have 3 to 6 months cash reserve for a rainy day fund. Like you said, if it rains, you don't get paid, you don't pay your customers. There could be anything, natural disaster. There could be anything where you can't, maybe your clients aren't getting paid. They're not able to pay you, but you still have your doors open. You're still having payroll. You're still having utilities. You still have gas. You have all kinds of things. You're still having the overhead that you have to pay. So we like our customers, or we tell them a rule of thumb is 3 to 6 months to have cash reserve in the bank. We also don't like to stretch them too thin. So we do, if they qualify and we've looked at their cash flow statements, then we do offer them lines of credit. This helps alleviate things. And when I say lines of credit, you know, typically we do $25,000 and $50,000 lines of credit, sometimes more, it depends on the company. This is drawn out, you know, say they didn't want to touch their reserves and payroll was 12,000. They draw out 10,000 1 week. And then when their accounts receivable payments hit, then they put the money back in. So they only pay interest on the 10,000 for 5 days, and then they pay it back. So it, you know, as long as that revolving line of credit is moving up and down throughout the year, then that's one of their qualifiers. So it kind of alleviates their cash flow. They don't have to use their cash. They're using our money, but they're paying the interest rate that we charge them.
Great. And Laurel?
Trying to unmute the mic. There you go. So, you know, for people who are new to understanding the difference between a line of credit and a loan, you need to know your industry and when you're going to need a line of credit. Typically, as you were talking earlier, construction firms need lines of credit. My accountant needs a line of credit, right? She is a service industry. So I think part of the discussion is what I've had to learn to do is help the business owner, especially the newer one, and even those who've been 3 and 5 years in business, because this young lady's been like 5 years in business. What is the difference between a line of credit and a loan? Why do you need a loan? A loan is for equipment purchases. Those are going to be paid out, maybe real estate purchases too. But the line of credit, just as Michele said, real important. How are you going to use it? And I think the most important part is they don't understand the line of credit and why it's going to be needed. So I take a lot of time to actually demonstrate what a line of credit does and how to use it, very similar to what Michele does. So I do a lot of education on that piece of it so that they understand the obligation. Back in the day, people did not have to guarantee their debts. And that means personally, you are responsible for the debt. I don't care if you're an LLC or Chapter S, you're personally responsible for the debt. So we're looking at your personal obligations to make sure that you can support a line of credit or a loan. But if you don't understand the reasoning for the two, then you're caught off guard. I have people who have high credit scores, but they owe a lot of money. So their debt to income ratio is off. And they can't believe that their bank will not offer them an unsecured line of credit. And the educational piece is teaching them the hows and the whys. So going back to the basics, and I'm kind of going backwards here, because if you're less than 5 years old, there's no shame in not knowing what a cash statement is, or a balance sheet, or a profit and loss statement. There is a misunderstanding that you're supposed to know these things. The misunderstanding is that you're supposed to somehow find somebody to help you. If you can't get an accountant or a CPA, because maybe they're a little costly, go take some learning classes online with the SBDC. They teach you what a cash statement, what a balance sheet is, a profit and loss sheet. How does it interface with your bank accounts? My customers don't have balance sheets when they come to me. We have to look at their bank accounts. We need to look at how much money they're making. And then we look at their tax returns to see if they can support debt. So yes, the banker is going to be asking for that. On my side, I will ask for that if you're going to ask for a $50,000 loan or higher. But if you don't know what those documents are, the most important piece, I think, is that you find a session that's not going to take a lot of your time. There's a lot of online sessions to learn what Michele's talking about and the whys. I can't stress it enough. We were, and I tell stories as I talk, so excuse me, but last night in a meeting, I chaired this council, And I finally saw a cash flow statement, and the person supporting goes, "Oh, that's a lot of trouble." No, he said, "Nobody understands it." And I said, "Trust me, as we get better educated, we will understand what you're putting there, because we will be able to look at the bank statements and correlate it with your cash flow statements, and look at your tax returns to tell me if you're really making money." And those are all just to teach you how you're making money. And when you're going to have a short supply of money, don't wait till the last minute to ask for it. I think what's been happening recently in my world is people wait till it's really late. They now have no cash reserves, and now they're trying to borrow money. And so it's at the very beginning that you understand when you're going to need a line of credit. And sometimes at the very beginning, if maybe 2 years into your business, that's the first thing you ask for is a small line of credit. And if you're credit worthy, you might get a $10,000 line of credit. And then you're starting with an equipment purchase loan, or maybe you need to get some other items for your office or whatever you're doing. Then you have an installment loan. So you're slowly building your capacity to show that you have, and for me, I use the word, you have a behavior of responsibility. You're showing us on your business plan that you've got documented information that you're following. You're now showing us in your bank statements that you can manage your bank accounts with no NSFs, insufficient funds, or overdrafts. Those are your behaviors. Your credit shows us that you have a behavior of being responsible and ethical in your practices. And when you go to your banker or you come to somebody like me, we're called an alternative source of lender, an alternative lender, community development financial institution. Then we can see that you're trying to learn behaviors of how to be a better business owner, how to learn to budget yourself personally as well as your business. And I think Claudia said something, you're going to look at your wants and your needs. You need to identify what your wants are and learn what the difference is, your wants and your needs, so that when you're asking for that loan from a Michele or someone from her team, or from someone like myself or somebody, Martha, you actually know why you need it. It's not just a want. And we're using a term that, it's overused right now, but bootstrapping, what are you doing to hold back and learn to use what you have? Stop buying new, look online. Unfortunately, many businesses have closed, so they've got a lot of things that they're selling. When they go to auction, they sell at practically nothing, and still very good pieces of equipment. And then how are you better using some of those outside resources to help you identify and differentiate those needs and really quantify what you're doing as a business owner? I think this last 2 years has been the most important part of my relearning, as to how to better educate ourselves as lenders to better help the business owners understand their business so that they don't get themselves in trouble. And sometimes my business owners are very angry with me. Well, I was sent to you because you're a nonprofit. You're supposed to help everybody. I said, I can help 90% of my business owners. And if you ask me for $50,000 and you can only support 10, I'm going to share with you why you can only get 10. I will also share with you how to overcome it in the future. So that way, maybe next time, if this gets better, 25 might be a better opportunity for you. But it is about constantly learning your business, whatever the nature of your business is, and understanding how to get help when you need it at the beginning, not when you're already drowning. When you're drowning, that's when you need to find somebody who's going to help you see if there is a succession plan in place where they can help you rock that boat, if you want, kind of level the boat. And if they're good at what they're doing, they can show you, here's maybe what we can do, here's how we can help you. Or, you know what, maybe we need to start a succession plan of selling your business before this gets out of hand. I've had business owners try to do something horrible because this past year was so hard for them. Their business was going to have to shut down, and people, become behaviorally, it's a hardship on them because they're having to pay payroll. If they're all family members in the business, they waited to the last minute for somebody to identify some of their worst practices and how to correct those practices. So getting somebody to work with you from the SBDC, from SCORE, who will take an interest in you and your business to help you understand what you need today, and how to correct that if possible, so that you can go back to the Michelles of the world and then you can do business with them going forward. Long story, but it's just some learnings that I had this past couple of years.
Thank you, Laura. So we're now right at the end of this session, the financial session, and I know that there were some great questions in the Q&A, and so we'll take those questions at the end. So Michele and Laura, if you don't mind sticking around. I had a lot of list of questions, but between Michele and Laura just kind of talking, y'all answered so many great things and covered so many topics. So I hope that everybody is really listening to the insights and the wisdom that they're sharing, because I can tell you from my own experience, they're right. They are absolutely right. So I want to thank you again for being here, and thank you again for being an advocate for small businesses, because without the two of y'all being advocates in the positions that you're in, it makes it 1,000 times harder. And so thank you for caring about small businesses, the importance of small businesses in communities. And I want to personally thank you. And then I want to thank you on the behalf of the region, the state of Texas, and the United States for small business advocacy and support.
Thank you.
So our next session, we're going to go right into social media and online marketing. I think that this is a really important topic personally, because, you know, with the pandemic, with the shutdown of, let's say, being able to go to Main Street or, you know, wherever you wanted to go to the brick and mortar, we got very clear that we weren't able to do that for a particular period of time. And then it became our choice whether we wanted to go in or not go in. However, life didn't stop and we had to stop shopping online. And then, you know, how do you as a small business transition without letting go of the brick and mortar, because we need that, but also go online, create a social media presence, not get lost in the fray of all of what's available online, and then differentiate yourself and be able to compete against Amazon, Walmart, Target, whatever, and still be alive with your company. So we have some really great panelists here today to talk about this. We have well, also, before we get started on that, I want to remind you again that at the end of this session, and at the end of the webinar series, in terms of like the learning part, we will have our pitch competition. So the 3 finalists of all the people that had submitted, we narrowed it down. There was a judging panel, and they narrowed it down to 3 finalists to do a live pitch. So wait till you see this. This is going to be wonderful and very inspiring on how they pivoted through COVID to win $7,500 cash prize that will go directly to the owner of the business to use and utilize to help keep the business going forward. So please stick around for that. That $7,500 is provided by the Beacon State Fund and Sempra Energy. And so now let me introduce to you our 2 panelists for the social media and online marketing session. And that's Patsy Muniz. She's with Formula Manager. She's the Formula Manager, forgive me, at Cobalt Digital Marketing. And Leah Wise. She's the owner of Leah Wise Law Firm, who will discuss social media and digital and marketing and how you can have a great impact on your business. So why don't Patsy and Leah, thanks for being here. Really appreciate it. Why don't we take a couple of minutes and y'all introduce yourselves and give the audience some background on why you're here to talk about this as an expert. So Patsy, why don't you go first?
Hi, thank you so much for having me here today. I really appreciate this opportunity. Yes, my name is Patsy Muniz. I'm the Formula Manager for Cobalt Digital Marketing. I actually started out just by doing social media for them. but over my course with Cobalt, I've learned quite a bit in the digital marketing realm. And so it's been really rewarding. It's been a huge growth experience. And yes, like you said, everything has changed in the past couple of years. And so with that, we've just been growing and adapting to everything that's been changed in the digital world. I am currently married. I live in Brownsville, Texas, and I have one dog named Holly, who I very much enjoy spending my days working from home with.
Thank you, Patsy. Leah?
Hi, everybody. My name is Leah Wise. Like Natalie mentioned, I am a lawyer. I will be practicing, it'll be my 5-year anniversary in November. And I think the reason why I am happy to be on here is because when I first started my law firm, I didn't have any money or tools to market myself. And I was able to go from barely making ends meet in my law firm to building a 7-figure business through social media. And so that was really the only tool that I had at the time. Now, of course, I've transitioned into other areas of marketing, but I feel like I'm, very passionate about what social media can do for you and your business. So I'm excited to be on here.
Thank you that's amazing. I mean, that's a huge accomplishment. So we definitely want to hear how you did that, but also what the keys were and the advice you have for the audience out there. Real quick, Patsy, what is Formula Manager? What does that mean?
Formula Manager encompasses everything that we do for a company when it comes to digital marketing. So with Cobalt, we have different formulas for our clients based off of their needs, based off of their budget, based off the type of company that they are. And that formula dictates how many times we'll be posting for them, what are their keywords, what type of content do they want on their website, pretty much anything that's going to be digital, when it ads, Facebook ads, Google ads, anything at all. The formula dictates that plan. And so I manage that formula. And so we have social media specialists and we have content team that create the posts, that create the blogs, that create the website content, all of that. And so just making sure that the client's voice is heard, making sure that each client is distinct and that their formula is being run in a very efficient way, in a way that they want. Because with so many clients, you want to make sure that you are not just their voice. They are the ones that are dictating what's going to be said, how they want their company to be represented. And so part of that formula management is that.
That's great. That now I understand. Because it is a formula. You need to take into so many things. You need to take so many things into account before you launch a social media presence. Leah, you started social media before it was like the thing, right?
Yeah,
5 years. 5 years ago, we have to think about what that was 5 years ago. It's not the way it is today. It's way better than it was 10 years ago in the sense that people were interacting with social media. But like 10 years ago, people were not interacting with, it's not that far away that people were not interacting through social media. 5 years was kind of like, 5 years ago was kind of like, let's say, the breakthrough of interacting more through social media. So what inspired you to get on social media? And then how did you create, what formula did you use? And how did you do that?
Well, so as soon as I got licensed as a lawyer, I decided to open my own law practice. And at the time I had no savings, no financial help from my family. I had a ton of student debt. And I thought, okay, how am I going to market myself? I can't afford billboards. I can't afford commercials. So I was like, okay, I have Facebook and Instagram, and there aren't really any lawyers marketing on Facebook at the time. Very few lawyers were marketing on Facebook and Instagram. And so I hired a PR company with the little money that I had made, and we started putting out just content. And at the time, the organic reach back then, 5 years ago, was insane. I mean, you could post a video and get 20,000 views without even paying to boost it. Insane. That's just unheard of these days. And so I was very, very lucky to be able to jump on that wagon when it was like brand new, and organic reach was amazing. And as you all know, it's very different today. I mean, we go through our feeds and all we see are ad after ad after ad. And people are just so sick of being sold things constantly. And so my formula has switched from sort of traditional lawyer marketing, you know, like, hi, I'm Leah Wise, hire me, to more, here's a personal side of me. Here's something of value. Here's something entertaining. Here's something funny, because nobody wants to see ads anymore. And so I think that if you are jumping on the social media wagon right now, you really have to think about how to market outside of the box. Posting graphics, selling your product, selling your service is just not enough anymore. You really have to show your authentic self. You have to show the different layers of yourself. And you want your passion for your product or your service to show through. And that's really is what's going to grab your audience's attention. So to answer your question, that's sort of how my formula has shifted from traditional lawyer marketing to more personal branding.
Patsy, I'd love to hear, you know, what you have to say based on what Leah said, but also what you're seeing, and how do you, given what Leah said, how do you now get in to the game of social media and kind of get noticed through all the fray, so to speak, and static?
Yeah, definitely. So you have to create a strategy. You have to really have a goal and a purpose with what you are posting. Like Leah said, if you just do a post, just to do a post, just to say, hey, I have this product, hey, I have this service, but there's really no goal in mind. There's no purpose. There's no call to action, letting people know a more personal side, like Leah said, about the product. It's not just about sales. Sometimes it's about, who am I? What can this product do for you? What can my services do for you? What's the experience going to be like for you? That's what's going to help you stand out. So having that goal in mind from the very beginning, creating a strategy, creating a plan is going to really help you to stand out. When you have a plan, you're also prepared ahead of time with something that may be coming up, whether it's a holiday, whether it's a fun, national brownie day, anything like that. You have to have a plan. You have to be ready for what's coming up, and that's going to help you to stand out, again, as opposed to just posting just to post. Like Leah said, that personal side of it, letting people know who you are. I found that with our clients, whenever we post pictures of the staff, of the business owners, talking about them, even talking about vacations that they take, posting about their children, letting them know there is a person on the other side of the screen. It's not a computer. It's not just a bot posting things. It's a real person. It's a real company. Again, that differentiates you from everyone else and from everything that you're seeing online. Like she said, you can scroll and see 1,000 similar pictures. So how are you going to stand out? Well, like I said, being personal, having a purpose, having a goal in mind.
So there's a phrase in media, and it's content is king. But people, let's say the people that aren't in media don't know what content maybe means and how important content is. So let's talk about content and what that requires on the social media platform once you start your presence.
So content is more than a blog on a website. Content is going to be your social media posts. It's going to be the captions, the graphics. It's going to be any kind of ads that you do. And then, of course, it's going to be what's on your website, whether it's your homepage, your services page, your About Us page. All of that is your content. Now, when you're creating all of that, you need to think about what are the keywords? What are the phrases that people might use when they're searching for your type of services? So, for example, for an attorney, what are the keywords that somebody would look up when they're Googling an attorney or a cookie company or anything, A lot of times certain phrases that make sense to you in your business don't make sense to other people. So think about, how would they search for you? What kind of words would they use? And then based off of those searches, based off of those keywords, you would do your research, find your target audience. Your content will be created revolving around that, revolving around those keywords. Your content will be based off of your audience. What are they looking for? You might have two different types of audience. We do have a client who, they sell cookies, and there are some adults that like their cookies, and there are children that like their cookies. The content that we put out there is not going to reach that same type of demographic. So you have to make sure that your content is going to be targeted, one for the adults, one for kids, one for teens, whatever it is that you're doing. Your content's going to revolve around your target audience, and it's going to revolve again around your plan, around your goal in mind, and those keywords and phrases.
Leah, thank you, Patsy. Leah, how often are you posting content?
Daily. Pretty much daily we are posting content. So back when I first started this, I was doing a lot of it on my own. Thankfully, I'm at a point now where I have an entire team of amazing people who help me with content, create content, post content, come up with the ideas, everything. And we have a content calendar, and we plan it out, and we meet weekly about what's going to be on the content calendar. So they are so helpful in helping me post. But I think that it's really important to be posting daily. And I know some people have mixed feelings about, well, am I posting too much? Are people going to, stop paying attention to what I'm posting? But it's all about, like what Patsy said, does it have a purpose? Does it have a goal? Is it providing value? Is it providing entertainment? And I think that the more you're on people's minds, the more likely they're going to call you if, say, they need a lawyer or, another kind of service or product. So however much you're posting right now, post more.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of tools that you can use. Like, say you can't afford a marketing team right now. There are tools that you can use, like different apps and stuff. And I don't know when an appropriate time to share that would be. Maybe I can
right now.
It in. Right now, okay.
But tell us the apps. We all want to hear that. That's what we need to hear. All the tips. I actually asked my team to share some tips that people could use if they're doing their own social media. So there are apps. There's one called Canva, where you can create your own graphics. There's one called InShot, where you can do short video editing. And this one I think is key if you are a busy, full-time business owner. It's called Hootsuite. Hoot, HOOTSUITE. And this allows you to schedule your posts ahead of time. Wow.
So that you're not there daily at 6 p.m. or whatever, posting your content. You schedule it ahead of time. You plan out your content, you schedule it, and then you let it post as it's scheduled. And to me, that is like a game changer. I've never used it, but my team uses it, and it works. It works great. There is also Wix, WIX, free websites, Pixabay for stock images, and then Unfold for Instagram story templates. So there's just so many tools available for people who are not at a point in their business where they can hire somebody to help them with social media. It's going to take work, though. You're probably going to have to spend your weekends coming up with a content calendar, scheduling your posts, making your graphics, taking photos. And if you're not comfortable putting your face out there, find somebody who is. You know what I mean? There's plenty of influencers on social media who are, willing to sell products, maybe for a small fee. So try and collaborate with different influencers who are, willing to sell your product for you. It's a lot of legwork. Social media is a lot of legwork. It's almost like an entirely full-time job, but there are tools to help you with your time management. So
that's huge. And those
post
tips,
more.
We're gonna put those up on I'm hoping that we will. If not, then it'll be at the end. But I would like to put those up on our Texas Commission for Women website so that you can come back and reference those, because those are just huge. Because it's not easy to step into that world, and can be scary, but also expensive.
Right.
And you may not have a marketing budget for that.
Right. But there are a lot of free and low cost tools out there for business owners to take advantage of that weren't around, 5 years ago. So I really, really recommend that you all take advantage of that. And whatever you're posting right now, post more.
Yeah.
But make sure it has a purpose. It's not just,
It's
you're
relevant.
not just selling. Yeah, exactly. There's educational value to it, some sort of entertainment.
How do you handle, both of you, and Patsy, how do you handle this with your clients? And then Leah, how do you handle it personally? Because, it's your business. The negative, let's say, you could call it bullying, or the negativity, or the ability that anybody can post whatever they want and make all kinds of comments, which I'm sure we've all experienced if you have a social media presence, that can be not great and very negative. How do you handle that?
So you do have to tackle these comments straight on, right? If there is a negative comment on your page, you would first find out, why would they leave that comment? Talk to your team, find out what their experience was, what's the reality of that situation that occurred. If it is something that you can improve upon, if your team says, yes, we did mess up in this area, or it could have been better, it's important to respond to that comment, maybe give them a phone number or an email to contact and let them know, we are improving, we're working to correct this situation. Now, if it's a situation where the commenter is being untruthful, then there are ways, of course, to defend yourself without coming off as too defensive or dismissive, right? You can either explain the situation, or again, if it's something that should be addressed, provide the number or for the email for them to call. If it is a derogatory comment, something like that, that would be something that we would delete or hide, because there is no room for that in social media. There should not be that type of bullying, those types of derogatory comments. But for example, for us with Cobalt Digital, we make a point to look at the Google reviews, the Facebook comments, Facebook reviews, all of that. And we get with our client and say, what type of response would you like us to give? Whether it's positive, whether it's negative. And so again, the client has a say in what they want to portray, whether it's an apology, whether it's a correction, whether it's, give us a call, let's talk about this. But tackling that straight on, we found, has shown that businesses not only care about their own business and their own team, but they care about their clients. They're not dismissing it. They care, they want to improve, and they want to grow from these experiences.
Leah?
So thus far, I've been very lucky that I have not had any negative reviews as far as my work as a lawyer. Google reviews are great, Facebook reviews are great, everything has been great. However, I do experience a lot of social media bullying, but they're more like personal attacks. They're not like me as a lawyer, which I'm so grateful for. But I do get a lot of, people telling me that, I'm too young, or what I'm wearing was not, nice enough, or, I looked a certain way, or I looked too fat, or I looked too skinny, or my makeup wasn't done perfectly, or I had a pimple. It's a bunch of, personal attacks, which at first sort of hurt my feelings. And then I just kind of like, it doesn't faze me whatsoever. You just get used to it, and you're like, the people anybody who is, for any business owners out there who are scared to put yourself out there, for anybody who is going to post personal attacks about you, they are in a so much worse position than you are, because it really takes somebody hurt and in a bad place to actually take the time out of their day to post personal attacks about you. I promise you that they are going through something so much worse than you are. And so now my team and I, we laugh about it. We'll send screenshots, look at this, look at this. Somebody called me a gold digger. And we laugh about it. And, it actually is helpful.
I mean, I kind of hesitate to say that, but it drives more eyes to your posts and your business. And so sometimes there'll be like long arguments on my social media posts, and people, going back and forth, either attacking me, defending me, attacking me, defending me. But I think the ultimate takeaway there is, as long as it's not, business related, and you're doing your job as a lawyer, or, as whatever your service or product is, personal attacks, just brush them off. They are, they're just pointless. They're not going to get you anywhere. Thinking about them is not going to get you anywhere. You're doing something right if you're making people angry. So that's my.
So don't be scared.
Yeah. Don't
be afraid. Don't be scared. Don't take it personal. Just keep posting relevant, good content.
Exactly.
So, so we're at our time. There's so much more I feel like we could talk about and address. I just want to thank you again, Patsy and Leah, for being here and sharing your words of wisdom. And, obviously Patsy is part of the digital marketing world in terms of having at Cobalt Digital Marketing. So, if you are needing a digital marketing company in the region, I would highly recommend reaching out to Patsy and having her formulate your social media presence. And if you need a good attorney, it sounds like Leah is the one. So, and by the way, any business owner, you need a great attorney. You need an attorney, a great attorney. You need a CPA, and you need a banker. So exactly. At some point you need all three as soon as possible. And then I think in today's day and age, we've covered that at some point you're going to need a Patsy in your life to get onto social media and help you build content. Yeah. So I thank you for being here. And so right now what we're going to do is we're going to go into the Q&A. We're going to bring back Michele and Laura. We're going to go back to the audience and ask them questions, excuse me, have them ask us questions. And so we have about 15 minutes of that. I would say 10, 15. So just everybody be aware of that, because after that, we get to hear the pitch competition, which I was the judge on one of the regions, in the West Texas region. It was very, very difficult because each one who pitched their pivot, how they pivoted in COVID, was amazing. And it was so inspiring to hear their stories. So I highly recommend sticking around for that. It's $7,500, so $7,500 to the winner of the pitch competition. So, and again, I want to thank the Beacon State Fund for providing that money, and Sempra Energy for providing that cash prize. So stick around for that. Let's see. Let me get to the questions. Okay. So Patsy, how can the trends be adapted per the industry for social media? How do you adapt your social media presence for each type of industry?
I would say just stay relevant. Look for trends that would match your brand values and your target audience. And remember, not every trend is for every business, right? But always keep your content up to date. Post new ideas without being repetitive. That's what's going to make you more visible from other businesses, from similar businesses. And so I think some people said it in the comments, they look at hashtags, they look at what is trending, and based off of that, you can see, okay, that can really match my business in this way. I could really use that for my business. I could really use that to promote it in this way. And having that creativity, always staying on top of things. Don't be afraid to venture out as well. I think sometimes you'll see businesses that say, no, we've always been going this way, and I feel like this is, but don't be afraid to try new things. Don't be afraid to try out new trends and new topics for your business.
Michele, thank you, Patsy. Michele, what if my credit were not where we would like it to be, but we have a business plan How do banks consider that and weigh those two?
Credit is a must. Credit determines how you've paid people in the past. And so if you haven't kept your credit in line, that shows that you haven't paid people. And so you may have a business plan, and that may be a perfectly good business plan, but if you haven't paid people on time, that's a big indicator to a bank. So one of the things we would sit you down and say is that you need to work on getting your credit in shape and show that you can pay your bills on time.
Absolutely. We're going to go back to the social media questions for Leah and Patsy. What do you recommend in terms of platforms, social media platforms? Do you have to be on all of them? Because there's so many and the new ones pop up. Like, which ones do you really need to be on? And which ones can you just kind of...
I think that Facebook and Instagram are probably the most important. TikTok is really, really gaining a lot of traction. So if you have the time to start learning about TikTok, I highly, highly recommend it. I am personally not on Twitter. I don't have an active Twitter. I'm not sure if that's still a thing, but my 3 main platforms are Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
Yeah, I agree. I think do what you know at this point and start there. And then as you grow or as you see things changing or trending and you want to look into it, you can look into it. I know for myself, when TikTok came out, I was thinking, oh my gosh, I don't know any of this. I finally feel a little bit older now that I don't know these new platforms that are coming in. So I attended a TikTok webinar and some workshops with my coworkers to find out a little bit more about it. But like Leah said, Instagram and Facebook really are real big in South Texas for small businesses. But like I said before, don't be afraid to venture out and learn new platforms and grow.
Great. And thank you. And we're going to go back to Laura and talk about financial information. Laura, is there any funding out there for women small business owners?
So today, the funding that we have available, LiftFund is a nonprofit. So we get funding from different sources. Today, the funding source is for all genres, if you will. So we have from the U.S. Treasury, the Economic Development Administration, a low interest rate loan at 3.5% for qualified borrowers. And it's through multiple counties. And it's the best part of this, if you're going to buy some real estate for up to $250,000, it's a fixed rate at 3.5%, right? We partner with banks. Maybe the bank doesn't want to do the whole deal, so the bank can do a portion of it, and then there's a way that we can, use part of that money. The beauty of the U.S. Treasury EDA loan is that there's not a minimum. So if somebody only wants $4,000 and they can qualify, we're going to give them $4,000 at 3.5% fixed for the time of the note. It's a simple interest rate loan. And I want to go back to something about the credit. The difference between a bank and a CDFI like LiftFund or People Fund, we're going to look at your credit. It is your behaviors. But the way we mitigate some of those behaviors is that we give you an opportunity to readdress your credit. And the way we're doing that is you may not, maybe a year ago, you had some real big issues and you are now current on all your debts. You don't have anything in collections. Anything that you maybe have owed the IRS, you've got a payment plan in place, your child support is in place, your student loans are being paid as agreed, right? We will look at that and give you an opportunity to borrow money. And so that's going to help recreate your credit history, right? Because as Michele said, that's your background, that's your behaviors. So people will tell me, well, I didn't understand credit. Well, today I'm going to share you what we're going to do. You've been paying all your debts for the last 6 to 8 months. We're going to take that in consideration. And because our mission is to help the underserved business community, whether you're a startup, whether you've been in business for a while and today you don't meet the bank's underwriting guidelines, you pay me on time, I'm going to report to TransUnion that you've been paying me as agreed. Now we're recreating a new history for you. You're re-evolving, you're coming back. So that program is available in Corpus Christi proper. We have a buy down interest rate loan at 5.5%, where the city tax dollars are helping buy down the rate for the borrowers. In McAllen, I believe we're looking at a 0% interest rate loan for business owners. And I believe in Laredo, the same thing is occurring.
Wow.
So because we partner with municipalities, with banks, with different organizations, we are always looking at opportunities, and they are looking at opportunities to help us help business owners who have a need. So it's about our transparency and our desire to help as much as we can. And like I said, 90% of the customers we can help. The other 10, I'm there coaching. Here's what I want you to do. Come back and see me in 6 months. And Nathali, they come back in 6 months, and if they've done what I've asked, we get to help them. It may not be the amount that they want, but it's something to have some working capital.
It's a start. You got to start somewhere.
Somebody gave us, it's not a hand out, it's a hand up.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's amazing to hear the interest rates. So if you're a small business in these areas, you need to be contacting Laura about these opportunities. I mean, some of it's free money. I mean, that's free money, 0 interest, and you're not going to go take advantage of that opportunity. Even 3%, 5% is still so low. And if you're needing working capital, if you see something that you need to buy, or you want to, use that money as a loan to create your social media presence and hire a social media marketing company, you could use that money for that to grow the business. So that, I would say that that's so important to know, because if you don't know about LiftFund or these kinds of funds and nonprofit funding organizations and companies in your regions around Texas, if somebody's watching outside of their region, they're all over. They're literally all over, just like PTAC and SBA and all of that. So you need to know your banker, and you need to know your small business nonprofit LiftFund in your area. So this is such great information. I think
yes.
We have 2 minutes. So I'd like each person, each of the panel to take 30 seconds each to say, any more advice that you have, or words of wisdom or inspiration that you'd like to share with the audience right now, please. Michele, let's start with you.
I would just say, don't be afraid to go into your local bank. They're not big, intimidating, suit-wearing people. We're a wealth of knowledge, as you said. We're here to help you, guide you. We'll walk you through the process. We'll give you the information that you need. Even if you have to go back multiple times, we can give it to you electronically. You don't have to come into the bank. Most of the time, we can communicate with you online. So we can send you all the forms and everything that you need online. Or if you feel more comfortable face-to-face, you can go in. We're here to help you.
Thank you, Michele.
Yeah.
Laura?
Do your research. Go to the SBDCs, go to sba.gov, liftfund.com. Do your research on what programs are available and learn as much as you can. If you learn of a profit mastery class, go attend that class. Phenomenal. You can be a service industry, you can be a sales industry. What a wonderful program to have for business owners to be able to understand how to better price themselves, whether you're intellectual property, whatever it is. Learn how to better yourself by continuously learning. And I think that was the most important thing I heard from Claudia. And here's no banker. I don't mind my age. I'm 66, and I never stop learning. If I don't learn something in one day, it's a lost day for me. So keep learning and find those mentors for yourself. Do not be ashamed of what you don't know. You have to be willing to ask those questions.
I agree. Mentorship, we didn't really address that. That could be a whole panel in and of itself. And I highly recommend getting mentors. You have to have a mentor to survive even non-COVID times. Just business ownership and entrepreneurship at every stage really requires a mentor to help you navigate the next phase of the business. So thank you, Laura. Patsy?
I would say if you don't know where to start, just start with a brand awareness campaign. You can Google that, how do I do a brand awareness campaign? Or you can email me if you need any help. But it's essentially, who are you trying to reach? What are the people searching for? Where are they searching for the types of businesses that you are? What's your budget? What is your measure for success? And just begin creating your message. Just begin posting your message based off of that and track your results. That campaign, that brand awareness campaign, is really going to help you know what's working for me, what's not working for me. So don't be afraid to just get started. Begin posting. I know someone had talked about how do you get rid of shyness, things like that. Like you said, find somebody that can help you out. Find a mentor that can help you. Find a business partner that can help you in posting, and just get started.
Great. Thank you. Leah?
So I'll just leave you all with, I understand how scary and how vulnerable it feels to put yourself out there on social media. But I promise you that as long as you're being authentic, as long as you're providing value, as long as you're not just looking at your audience as money, whatever you put out there is going to gain a following, and more good things will come from it than bad. So just go for it.
Great. Well, when the Governor's Commission for Women, when we were given this grant of money to give out or do something for women-owned businesses, a couple of things. We said, we need education. We need to have the education aspect of it to inspire, to show people, where they can have resources. If they don't have all the answers, which nobody has all the answers, by the way. Nobody has all the answers. And then the other thing is to get their money in their hands. Money is everything. Cash is king. But the other part was that we didn't want to just do one, and we really wanted to target every audience and every panel for the different regions of Texas, because we have micro cultures. And they're all kind of different. The other part of why we wanted to do it regionally is that we wanted to give business owners or future entrepreneurs or leaders and women leaders in leadership women in leadership roles in companies, local contacts. So Michele is there. She is local. Go see her. Talk to her. Laura is local. Go talk to Laura. Email her. Get her advice. If you're not in Corpus where she's located, she's going to refer you to somebody that's down in the valley. Patsy's local. She's got you covered. Let her do the formulation and see what she can come up with. Leah is a success story. This is totally possible. If you need a lawyer, Leah, what kind of law do you practice?
I actually only do personal injury plaintiff's work. So
okay,
I have plenty of friends I have plenty of lawyer friends that I can refer you to if you need help starting a business. So
great. So see, these are local contacts. They're here. You have a sense of them. They care. So this is a very exciting time in the world. It's scary, but it's also exciting. So I commend everybody. Thank you for being on the panel today. Thank you, audience, for listening, taking notes, being interactive, all the questions. It's just been wonderful. We are now going to our pitch competition. So stick around to listen to the finalists to see who wins the $7,500 cash prize given by the Beacon State Fund and Sempra Energy. I'm going to turn it over to Sasha Crane, my dear friend and fellow commissioner, to lead the next session for us. Thank you, everybody. Sasha will be here in a few seconds. And in the meantime, I think that you know, as a business owner, you know, learning is everything, and you always have to learn, and especially if you want to grow. And there's also a, I don't know if it's a saying, and I can't remember the exact saying, so forgive me, but it's something like, if you're growing, you're dying. If you're not growing, you're dying. So you're always having to grow to some extent, your business. And that means you have to expand and go out of your comfort zone to either, you know, add on a product line, find the gap, just like what Claudia had talked about. She saw a gap. She was with the you know, her family construction company, and then she saw a gap in the market and started G8. These are all very, very wonderful things. So, so don't be afraid to learn. Don't be afraid to jump out there. I would say, you know, people say you're jumping off the cliff when you're a business owner. Yes, but make sure you pack the parachute. Yes, you have to have the courage to jump, but make sure you know how you pack the parachute, and how, you know, and how that parachute, you can deploy that parachute. So, okay, let me see the, hold on. My computer's a little bit slow, so forgive me. I'm going to announce the pitch agenda, and the finalists. So give me just a second while the file opens. Okay. So thank you again. So we have 4 finalists today, and from the South Texas region. These are women-owned businesses and women-owned business owners that will be pitching their pivot. And one of the women we hear from today will walk away with a $7,500 cash prize, made possible by our partners, the Beacon State Fund, and our platinum sponsor, Sempra Energy. So thank you again, Sempra Energy, for this extreme generosity and support of the Beacon State Fund, and of course, the Governor's Commission for Women. And of course, I don't want to leave out Governor and Mrs. Abbott for that. Thank you. So women-owned businesses, or women-owned business owners from all over South Texas region, from Corpus Christi all the way to Laredo, applied and explained how they had to make a pivot or change in their business in order to keep their business alive during COVID-19. This is not an easy thing to do. And so the Governor's Commission for Women, we understand the significant economic impact endured by small businesses during this COVID-19, which is obviously still here. You know, big time in 2020, we were kind of coming to an end of it in 2021, and now it's here again. So, it's having an impact definitely on our small businesses. And so we are really, truly in awe of the women-owned businesses and the women business owners across the state of Texas for the resilience, their problem-solving skills, and creative skills on how they keep their businesses alive. So before we hear from our finalists, I do want to introduce our judges, our panel of judges. So first up, we have Tina Buford. She's a fellow commissioner to the Governor's Commission for Women. She is the Director of Education for the East Foundation, where she is responsible for expanding natural resource education opportunities in South Texas. In addition, she works alongside her family at the Ochoa Land and Cattle Company, which has been recognized by the Texas Department of Agriculture's Family Land Heritage Program for operating continuously for over 100 years. That's amazing, Tina. She is the board president of Texan by Nature, director of the Sand County Foundation, and was appointed by Governor Abbott to the Texas Soil and Water Conservation Board in 2018. Next, we have Elizabeth Suarez, who has been a transportation professional for over 20 years and currently serves as the Director of Aviation for the City of McAllen. As the director for McAllen International Airport, Elizabeth oversees the operation of McAllen's aviation system, including joint use commercial aviation and general aviation. She previously served as the City of McAllen's Transit and Downtown Services Director, where she was responsible for the operation of public transportation and public parking services for the City of McAllen. That is no small feat. Thank you, Elizabeth, for being on our one of our judges today.
Thank you.
And our third and final judge is Nikki Barriojos, owner of Made in Corpus Christi and Made in Texas Company Co-Ventures, and curated products designed and produced in the city and across the state. She and her husband, Andrew, also own Milestones, which is a custom awards and recognition company, and she is the president and founder of the Women's Entrepreneurial Society of Corpus Christi, a nonprofit organization dedicated to advancing the mission of women-owned businesses in the Coastal Bend. Nikki is a marketing consultant for multiple small business development centers in South Texas, and is a member of the United Corpus Christi Chamber of Commerce and the American Advertising Federation in Corpus Christi. Thank y'all so much for being here. We could have a panel just with the three of y'all. So you're great judges to be judging this pitch competition. So what we're going to do is, for today's pitch competition, we're going to play a pre-recorded video of the pitch. Our finalists are here today and will be on camera to answer any questions from our judges. Once all the pitches have been presented, the judges will take a moment to submit final scores, and a winner will be announced today. So you want to stick around for that. And so the first pitch video, the first up is Nadia Bowman. She is the CEO of Ann's Restaurant in San Juan, Texas.
Hello, this is Nadia Bauman. I am the owner of Ann's Restaurant in San Juan. We are located in San Juan, Texas, and this is my story. So in 2020, we decided to stay open during the shutdown, and we were determined to turn something negative into something completely positive. We decided to stay and fight for our business and for the jobs of our employees. We took advantage of the low gas prices, and we started offering free delivery within a 10-mile radius with no minimum order. That was an instant hit with our customers. We also started offering contactless delivery and contactless payments. We now accept Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, and Square as a form of payment. So you can just call in your order and we take your payment right over the phone, or you can Cash App or Venmo us. Another awesome thing that we did was we developed Lunch on Wheels, which is used to this very day. What we do is we deliver a breakfast and lunch to students that are doing online classes while their parents are away at work. Another option that we have is we also do that for the elderly, and we give them a senior citizen discount because we do know that they're at higher risk of contracting COVID-19. So we deliver to nursing home and hospices as well. Frontline workers were the driving force behind our success during the pandemic. So we not only donated a lot of food to hospitals, fire departments, and police departments, but we would also offer a 30% discount to them as well. We would deliver on a daily basis. We were also able to extend our business hours from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m., 7 days a week. So we worked really hard throughout the entire pandemic without ever shutting down. So we got so popular that Grubhub, Bite Squad, and Uber Eats reached out to us because we were one of the most sought after restaurants in their platforms. And to this day, we're the only restaurant in the city of San Juan and our surrounding communities that actually offers free in-house delivery. We were turning a brand new remodeled restaurant, a brand new beautiful historic building in the city of San Juan into a delivery only, curbside only establishment. And so that was one of the business pivots that we had to do to remain in business and to keep us safe. Another thing that we did was we fed over 4,000 families during the Texas freeze in February of 2021. That was a way of giving back to our community for their loyalty and their support during the pandemic. We gave away over 4,000 sopitas de fideo, and to a lot of people that were left without water, without gas, and without light. We were blessed to have those utilities, so we blessed our community with over 4,000 meals. We still continue to support our community, and we're still using the Lunch on Wheels program to this day. And I am Nadia Bellman, and this was my story. Thank you.
Thank you, Nadia. Do any of our judges have any questions for Nadia right now?
I have a question. Are you ready? Okay, so I'm a marketing person. That is my background. I would love to know, how did you get the word out about all of the services and everything that you were doing last year?
So social media was everything. Facebook was one of my biggest platforms, as well as Instagram. But I definitely took advantage of Facebook following on my, because I've contributed to many things to the community in the past. So I slowly built up a large audience. And so I kind of took that personal audience and took it to my business page. And then people from there started sharing nonstop. So definitely sharing my posts and sharing my videos, sharing my offers and all of that. So I would definitely say that social media was like the thing to do for me during that time.
Great, thank you.
Congrats, Nadia. I really loved reading your application. I think the most amazing part was your flexibility. I'm a working mom and I work a lot. I love your Lunch on Wheels program for feeding kids that are at home. Tell me a little bit about how your business model has changed with the introduction of that program. How much of your business is generated through Lunch on Wheels? And is it something that you're gonna continue to offer? Do you see that being part of a long-term sustainable plan? Also, do you have added costs that were associated with that program that maybe you didn't anticipate?
Okay, so Lunch on Wheels was developed for working moms and parents. And what happened was we actually took our servers and made them delivery drivers. So there was no added cost to that. We did have 2 extra vehicles on hand that belonged to the restaurant that we started using to deliver the Lunch on Wheels. We have had over 150 customers take advantage of Lunch on Wheels. We do delivery in the PSJA area, which for people that are not from the Rio Grande Valley, that stands for Far San Juan and Alamo, with free delivery Monday through Friday. We deliver breakfast at 7:30 in the morning and we deliver lunch at 11:45. If people want Saturday, we throw it in as a freebie, just out of courtesy to them for being loyal to us and using our services. We do offer contactless delivery with that. So what we do is we take the breakfast and lunch and we deliver it at the doorstep, or a lot of times they have a little table for us and we make contact with the parent or guardian and we let them know that the breakfast is there. We have actually implemented Lunch on Wheels from March 2020, which was when we got shut down, March 20th, 2020, all the way to present day. We are currently on vacation, but we're still doing Lunch on Wheels. We continue to do that through the rest of 2020 and into 2021. And I do see this program continuing to grow. So we are more than happy to keep it with us and, for it to be a part of ANS for many more years to come, because we do know that it's helping not only our community, but it's also helping parents that are so stressed out a lot of times, not knowing what's going on at home. And at least they know that this is going to keep their children fed and they're going to get a hot, warm meal.
How would you use this funding if you were to be the successful competitor today?
Definitely bonus. That my employees have been a driving force in the restaurant. They've been probably sustaining us since day one, since the shutdown. They've never abandoned us. So for sure, give them a bonus. We're also thinking of making new menus, because now we pivoted back to dine in and curbside only. I mean, I'm sorry, not dine in, to delivery and curbside only. So we're going to do new menus, like to hand out and put in the meals when we take them to go. So that's going to be part of that as well. We're going to use it for marketing and for bonuses towards our employees.
Thank you. That was wonderful.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, great. Sorry, I was on mute talking. Sorry about that, everybody. Are there any last questions? Last question for Nadia. Okay, please start scoring. Our next pitch is from Jessica Pena, and she is the director and owner of Westgate Learning Academy in Weslaco, Texas. So let's see what Jessica has to say.
Hello and welcome to Westgate Learning Academy. My name is Jessica Pena, owner and director. We are incredibly humbled to be considered for this grant. After 17 years in the banking industry, I chose to change my career and pursue something that I am passionate about. The ability to lay an imprint in young lives and be able to be an integral part of our community. There has been no greater gift than the time spent with these little ones and seeing my own son grow. I hope that the small glimpse of our center not only reflects the passion we have, but warms your heart. It is important that children continue to explore and grow in a safe environment. In the beginning of the pandemic, we chose to be proactive. As you can see, some of our shields were made with laminating sheets, a Cricut, and ribbon. We were one of the few centers that purchased a fogger to sterilize rooms every evening. Teacher creativity is swimming along as we found new ways to keep our children engaged. Whether it was with virtual animals, tie-dye shirts, lava lamps, you will see multiple ways we utilize our resources to ensure children were having fun. This is a safe zone away from the pandemic and anything else that may be troubling their minds. As a parent, the safety and well-being of our children is primary. We welcome virtual learners for parents that had to return to the workforce and needed care. We often had to absorb the tuition to aid our community. It is in the smallest contributions that you see the greatest reward. Uncertain times have allowed us to reflect on the importance our industry is and the essential role it plays in our community. Although we have had to mitigate through several changes and fear of the unknown, I am proud to say that we have remained open and ready to serve our community. I thank you for your consideration for the grant and your time.
Thank you, Jessica. Now, do we have any questions for Jessica from our judges?
Jessica, I loved watching that video and seeing all the smiles, and I'm wondering, what was the biggest challenge dealing with parents and their fear of, allowing their children to be social while taking care of their health?
Hi, how are you? So we were very proactive. We actually started wearing masks back in February, late January, before it was mandated by the state. We kind of saw what was coming. We didn't get much of a directive from the state, so it was up to each individual owners to be proactive. I tend to send newsletters on a weekly basis, and I kind of let parents know like this might be coming toward our area. We need to be proactive. Does anybody have any conflict with wearing masks or wearing shields? And we try to get the children accustomed to wearing the masks, wearing the shields. We purchased that fogger early on. We stocked up on supplies because we knew what had happened in other countries, and we thought we'd probably be in the same position. So I think us having that open communication with the parent, letting them know we're being proactive. This is what we can offer. Anybody have suggestions? We would sit down and kind of have like a Q&A. What are your suggestions? What can we actually implement? And that kind of helped us retain our current clients, which are the children we care for.
Nikki, Elizabeth, do y'all have any questions for Jessica?
Sure. Jessica, tell us a little bit about how you would use this grant.
I think a lot of the money that we had as a reserve, we used it to maintain our staff. We've done a lot of changes on the inside of our building. We're wanting to kind of navigate toward an outside classroom, somewhere where the children can spend more time outdoors. The pandemic doesn't seem to be ending anytime soon. So we want to kind of diversify the classrooms, maybe spend more time outdoors, build a small pavilion, and then obviously for employee retention.
Jessica, do you have any a mentor or anyone that you work with, or was everything that you created something that you and your staff came up with to help mitigate some of these concerns and some of the issues that were going on in your industry?
I research a lot and I plan a lot. So I was in the banking industry for several years. So that was something that was a must. You had to pre-plan, do a checklist. We started planning December of 2019. Come January, we already had a plan in place of what we were going to execute and how we were going to mitigate the loss of children, loss of staff, and so forth. And it's always evolving because, there's always changes in the economy, changes in staff and so forth. But we try to just pre-plan and try to execute our plans.
Any last question for Jessica? Okay, judges, thank you so much. Thank you, Jessica, for being here and being a finalist. Good luck.
Thank you.
So our next finalist is Stacy Richline. She's the owner and instructor at Water Dog Yoga and SUP and Bar in Corpus Christi. SUP is stand-up paddleboard. So if you don't know the lingo, and I don't even know if I'm saying it right, but here we are. Let's see what Stacy has to say.
Hi, I'm Stacy Richline, and I'm standing outside my business, Water Dog, and this is my video for the Texas Governor's Commission Women's Small Business Pitch Contest.
Water Dog is an outdoor-based fitness studio where our main studio area is a houseboat in the marina that's used for classes, along with storing paddleboards and fitness equipment. The houseboat studio has an upper deck and a lower deck for holding land yoga classes with a view of the sunrise, the sunset, the moonrise. There's also a lower deck that's used for classes as well. We also hold stand-up paddleboard classes, fitness classes on the beach, bar-style classes, and pool stand-up paddleboard classes. We are completely unique in that we don't know any other houseboat that is a studio that exists. So when Texas started closing down because of COVID, we immediately moved to live streaming our regular land yoga and land fitness classes. We used a live streaming software that could record the classes that we could later share with our customers or even the general public on YouTube. And we've continued for over a year to add a new YouTube video at least every week completely for free. When we were able to resume our outdoor classes and activity, we started developing more and creative fitness formats, locations, adding new instructors, and new offerings. This allowed people to do exercise, yoga, and workout in a safe, open-air environment in our community with lots of space for distancing. And because we are outdoor based, people could continue working out in a safe outdoor environment with lots of space for social distancing, which was key. We added this new beach bar fitness format, and we made our own bars out of PVC that could easily be transported, added 2 beach locations, and some new instructors. The other new thing we added were pool SUP fitness classes, which were a full body workout, a little different from yoga with new instructors. We also started offering some fun outdoor non-traditional events like beer yoga with local community partners, baby goat yoga at a local community farm, and some full moon yoga and meditations at our houseboat studio. We offered a free community class in front of our mural in downtown Corpus Christi. We felt this time was just as important for mental health as it was for physical health, where people could feel safe practicing in an outdoor environment. One of our goals has always been to connect with people in the community and offer them a fun, refreshing way to enjoy outdoors, nature, in the water that's accessible to everyone, whether it's online through YouTube, live streaming, or one of our fun outdoor fitness locations. We were voted the best yoga studio in Corpus Christi 2 years in a row by the Coastal Bend.
Great. Thank you, Stacy. And we have Stacy on right now. So do we have any questions from the judges?
Hi, Stacy. This is Nikki. I got a quick question for you. Now, what do you see as the next step for your business? Because I know you've grown over the last few years, and you obviously have gotten so many different things that you're adding. What do you see as your next step in this?
Well, I've actually been just surprised how much we've been able to grow in just this last year. And just, I would love to add more outdoor options and fitness formats. We started out with just yoga on the water and yoga on land on the deck. And this past year, we added a bar style beach class and a pool, different type of classes, high intensity training workout. I would love to be able to add more fitness formats. We have a small indoor backup location, which is necessary with weather. Anytime you have a outdoor weather-based business, but it's very small. So it would be nice to have a little bit larger indoor space for when we can't be outside.
Stacy, this is Tina. Based on your videos, it looks like the majority of your clientele are women. Would that be the case?
That's definitely the case. Most of our clients are women. This year, we added 2 male instructors, trying to encourage it to be for everybody. I'm a female. A lot of our instructors are female. It naturally attracts females, but really, we want to reach anybody who wants to come here. And we do have men who come regularly and definitely get a lot of benefits from it as well.
Thank you.
Hi, Stacy. Congratulations. This is a great business that you have. Really innovative in many ways. Tell me a little bit about where you see your business in the next 5 years and how will you utilize the grant funding?
Yeah, I would just like to continue to grow, to offer people different options to for mental health and physical health, more options. We just added we are mostly based entirely based in downtown Corpus Christi, and we just expanded to North Padre Island, which is about 30 minutes away. So it'd be nice to also expand to different parts to be able to reach different people if the opportunities present themselves, different people in the community, to be able to offer more free classes to the community, to places that need them. And our business does require a lot of equipment with the paddle boards, the bars, and different things like that. So, and the pool fitness equipment. So it would be great to be able to update that equipment as well with the funding.
One last question. Does anybody have the last question for Stacy? No, great. Stacy, thank you so much. Good luck. So our 4th and final pitch today will be from Sean Setliff Spears. She's the co-owner and managing partner of 4S Farming Operations, LLC in Corpus Christi, Texas. She's not present today are Sean's 3 sisters and co-owners, Heather McNew, Shannon Walker, and Geraldine Yanta. So this is a full-on woman-owned business farming operation. Let's hear what Sean has to say.
Let's see if we can get it. 4S Farming is a fully owned South Texas women-owned business. It's owned by 4 sisters. My sisters and I run a farming operation in South Texas. We farm land that has been in our family for generations, and being in a male-dominated industry like farming and like agriculture, like ranching, has been a learning. Has been a growth in and of itself. We farm 5,000 acres of South Texas land. We grow corn and we grow grain sorghum and we grow cotton on this land. The white corn that we've grown this year has been used in marketing for South Texas businesses, grocery stores. We operate machinery that is mostly run by men, by generations of men, sons and grandsons. And we're teaching our kids to do that as well, which is also a challenge. With online learning, like many of you, teaching our kids in the home this year and also running this business was quite a challenge. We had to everything that we were doing, that we had known before, that we had done before. And our kids benefited from that. We benefited from that. The crops that we grow are marketed globally, but they also serve to provide feed for our growing family cattle operation, as well as to support the production of food items for Texas-owned grocery chains. We had to change the way we marketed some of our crops, some of our beef, and just what we did as a company had to change to protect our employees. When COVID hit, our workforce diminished, obviously, but the work did not, and our families were the ones who had to step up and help out at the farm. We had to use our children, we had to use our husbands, we had to use everybody that we could find. And our employees that stayed, we protected them. We closed our offices. We took only contactless payments and made payments through and outside of our office, which was the challenge. But as women in business, we wear many hats, whether working in the office or in the field. We're thankful for the opportunity to work with our families, raising sons and daughters to be the next generation that knows and understands the value of hard work in Texas agriculture. COVID posed many challenges for us this year. Our families were hurt in illness and are still fighting COVID today. And we had to adapt our business to use what we had available to us to make it still work. We used reserves of cash. We took advantage of PPP loan 1 and 2 and the economic disaster loans from the SBA to keep our employees and to help them stay in their jobs and to support their families. We did that through programs that were offered by the SBA and government entities. We are redefining what it is to be a woman-owned business in South Texas. We're forest farming operations.
Great. Thank you, Sean, so much. And thanks for being here today and making it to this final round. Judges, what questions do you have for Sean?
Hi, Sean. Great job with your presentation. Sorry, Nikki.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Just a real quick question. What's your vision for the company? Maybe some goals that you've achieved this year despite COVID.
We have multiple vertically integrated businesses. Forest farming is just one of the operations that we run here in our office. We have a cattle operation. We have an elevator, a grain elevator that operates. We have 3 locations. We have private farm on-farm storage of our grain and corn. And really, the idea going forward would be to make sure that what we're doing benefits each one of those entities in some way, shape, or form. The crops that we grow are fed at the cattle operation. So growing a crop at the least cost and making it a profitable for both businesses to use what we have. We are also looking, we had to adapt the way we sold crops, the way we had to watch global markets. China mattered, what was happening globally mattered for our businesses. We had to adapt how we sold our crops, how we marketed the beef, selling to private people to fill their freezers because their grocery stores didn't have beef. But going forward, probably develop a bigger social media presence for our entities. In agriculture, that's difficult. What we do, we'd have to probably go in the back way and maybe educate people about where their produce comes from, where their food comes from, what local farmers do, what we do, what we look like out there working, running combines, things like that. Going forward would probably be our best bet.
So, hi, Sean. A quick question for you I know when I was reading through your information, which was really interesting. I mean, what you're doing is very different than what a lot of the other people are doing. And so it was interesting to read. When you were talking specifically about the cattle portion of that seemed to be the piece that was growing the quickest, and you had to pivot and really focus on that. Do you see that, or how do you see that growing or changing as things move forward? Will you retain, or will you still continue to utilize some of your other businesses to help fund that so that you can get more customers like HEB, or how do you see that going forward in the future?
Absolutely. It did change. What we try to do is to focus on the businesses that are growing the fastest and are producing the biggest profit. Farming has never been that one. It probably won't ever be, but it serves to supply the means to make one of the other businesses profitable. And if changing who we market the beef to, which in this instance, everybody's now looking at where their food comes from, whether it's organic beef or, hormone-free beef, people are noticing that now. And if we have to change the way we've been doing that all along, but if we have to change the way we market that would be ideal.
Sean, just one quick question. I can identify with a lot of the challenges that you're going through. I also am a 6th generation family in agriculture. My question is, what's been the challenge of working not only in agriculture as a woman, but as a family-owned operation?
It's funny that you say that. I personally have 6 children of my own. Being in a family business is something, an entirely different beast. It's a thing of its own, and especially in generational businesses like ours, in agriculture specifically, because again, we're talking about fathers. My father had no sons. There's 4 of us girls. So that basically had to do what was necessary. I didn't go to school I don't have a degree in agriculture or any kind of a business that would help agriculture. But I did learn. I have had to learn how to keep books for a farm, how to buy and sell grain for a farm. I've had to learn equipment that I wasn't raised running, but because I'm a girl, and I did have 6 kids. Again, when COVID hit, I had 6 children online in my living room, plus friends. So the main goal was just to keep the internet on, but also I had to pay employees. I had to still plant our crops in order to have a crop to harvest in the fall. People don't understand as women and when I say we wear many hats, I really mean shoes, because I'm changing our shoes constantly, from the office to the field or to the everywhere we go, we're changing. We have to be successful.
Any one last question from any of the judges? Okay, Sean, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So the judges now have the hard part. They have to put in their scores. This is not easy. I want to say thank you for all of the finalists that you made it this far. And I would say that everybody watching, please support your local businesses. You know who they are now. And the ones, even let's say the ones that aren't the finalists, please, I cannot stress it enough to support local, Main Street, local business. None of it is easy. So if you could use your money to support the local business, please do that first. All right, judges, here we go. You have a few more minutes. I don't know if you've put in everything yet, so we're just going to wait until I get notified who the winner is. But I do want to say a few things to everybody. One, the business owners, and I am a business owner. I'm in a family business. It's not easy. So if you have remained open and stayed open and steadfast and pivoted and done everything that you can, I commend you for that so much, because it's just not easy. It's not easy without COVID. Then COVID puts a whole new spin on things. And I've said that a few times, but I'll just continue to say that. Our finalists, you know, it's so great to hear what they've come up with. And I think it's interesting that when the Women's Commission came up with what are the webinar topics going to be, we spent quite a bit of time discussing what is relevant right now. Because if you're going to spend 2 hours of your time, we need it to be relevant. You know, nobody has time to waste. It's a very busy world. And so we wanted to give relevance to what you are dealing with right now. And of course, financials are everything. And then now with the social media presence, you really have to have that. And you could hear that in these pitch competitions, how social media really, they pivoted to social media. And even agriculture, which you would not even think about being on social media, had to pivot and get on social media somehow. So I'm very proud of everybody for doing what that takes. That's not easy. Keep growing, keep continuing. Our panelists were phenomenal, and they're local. So please, once again, go reach out. You have resources. Do not be afraid to say, I don't know something. That's where you go, to these types of resources. Patsy for social media, Michele for banking, Leah, Laura for, for pretty much anything small business wise, and the LiftFund, so go to your local PTAC, go to your SBA, reach out to people. But then even more importantly, if you're going to open a business, I would highly recommend that you start supporting local businesses, because they will, that will be your lifeblood. So, and then the last thing I have to say for women-owned businesses and owners and even women in leadership roles in your industry, just because you're not a woman-owned, you're not an owner of a business, doesn't mean you're not running a portion of a business inside your company, and that you have a leadership role. Not everybody has the constitution to open a business, and that's okay. That's not a big deal. I mean, you can't fault the palm tree that can't grow in Wyoming. It's not the right environment for the palm tree. So you need to know your constitution and what you need and why you need it. And so if you're in a leadership role, and if you are a owner of a business, you have to get involved. You have to get involved in your community. You become a member of your trade organization, your trade associations, your chamber of commerce, your, what comes to mind is like Lions Club, things like that. Get active in your community. And I don't know what that looks like with COVID and how that goes, but they're still doing Zoom calls. They're still, trade associations are still meeting and things like that. So, so those are my tidbits. And while we wait for all the scoring to come in, what I'd like to do now is I want to bring all the finalists back on camera. And then I think I'm going to be given the award winner the name here soon. So, I just, once again, I loved hearing the stories. It inspired me. I'm like, I need to do yoga because it's outside and on the water. I mean, and what a fun name, Water Dog. That is so cute. Jessica, with the kids, I can't even imagine what you're dealing with on a day-to-day, the emotional strain of one, managing parents and then managing the children. So you're kind of like, you're definitely in a balancing act for sure. And then Sean, I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm putting words in your mouth, but I grew up in a traditional home, and like I wasn't allowed to, my chores were not, I wanted to mow the yard, but I wasn't allowed to mow the yard. That was a boy's job. So I wanted to be on the equipment, but I wasn't allowed to, be part of that side. So it sounds like, you had to learn how to run equipment later on in life. And I commend you for that. It's incredible. It's incredible it's not easy to keep a generational family-owned business together or land together. It's so special. It's just hard. You usually don't find the next generation wanting to do something like that because it's hard, dirty work. You're in the mud. It's not sexy. It's not something you get to talk about with your friends because you're knee deep in cow manure. And, so I just really commend you and your sisters for saying, you know what, we're going to step up and we're going to continue the legacy. We're going to do what it takes. We're going to learn, and we're going to keep agricultural local. That's huge. So, Nadia, where are you? I don't see you on camera. Can you come back? Come back. I don't know if she's having technical. Oh, here we are. Okay, great. Hi, Nadia.
Hi. Can you hear me?
And then, Nadia, to feed the kids and help parents get their kids food when they have to go to jobs and manage whatever they have to manage, and then plus put food on the table, but may not be able to make it to the store because it might not be open. It may not have the food. It may not have this, there were so many things. So, just to pivot and to create these ways to help your community and create a win-win. And then also giving meals to, or providing meal services for the elderly. They couldn't go out. And then now what are they supposed to do? And restaurants aren't open. And I mean, it's a whole nother aspect that, I think we all are clear that food is important for us to live. And when you don't have access to food, it's a pretty serious situation. So, all right, well, we have the winner in. And before I announce that, once again, I want to thank all the finalists for being here today, pitching your business, but also staying in business. Please continue. Just because you're not the winner of the $7,500 doesn't mean you don't stand out and aren't special in your own way. So the winner is Nadia Bowman. Thank you, Nadia. Nadia, would you like to say anything? Where'd she go? I think she might have been so excited. The computer fell off the.
I will say,
lost her in the excitement.
Very hard choice. I think they were all right there. So I wish we had several awards to give.
Yeah, it's a very hard. I commend the judges. I know that it was very, very, very tight race. So don't give up. Please, if we are able to do this again next year, please resubmit and know that that we would love to hear how you're continuing to pivot. But Nadia, you're back. Would you like to say anything?
Yes, thank you guys so much for this opportunity, and congratulations to all the finalists. This past year has certainly been a big challenge for all of us, regardless in the type of business that you're in. I myself took probably a really big hit because in 2019, I took out a loan from Real Bank in Harlingen with Mr. Charlie Hervey. And I wanted to remodel my restaurant because we're in the historic district of San Juan, which is the older part of San Juan. And so I wanted to attract new customers, and I wanted to make it, kind of like downtown Harlingen and downtown McAllen, or in Westlaco even, where it's really trendy and a lot of new people are attracted towards the historic districts. So I said, you know what? I want to start revitalizing the downtown area. I wanted to start a trend. And boy, was I in for a surprise. I took out my loan. I closed in September of 2019 and I reopened in December of 2019. And 2 months and a half later, I was shut down by COVID-19. And so I decided I was going to fight to the end, not only for myself, for my business, but also for my employees. We had just hired over 35 people to fully staff our restaurant, and I was determined to keep them all employed because, of course, we didn't know exactly what was going to happen with unemployment benefits or with PPPs or anything like that. Because I was closed for most of 2019, I didn't qualify for any PPPs. And so I was really strapped for cash, and I decided to come up with all these different programs and ideas to keep the business afloat. And so it's definitely been challenging. And then to my surprise, in July of 2020, I got pregnant. And so I worked the entire pandemic and even to this day, pregnant. So that's something that I'm very proud of. And it was a great accomplishment. Definitely. And I just want to thank everybody for this opportunity. It's been quite a journey.
Thank you, Nadia. Thank you everybody for attending. Thank you all the woman-owned businesses that applied for the pitch competition, our finalists today. Thank you for our panelists to spend the time and share the words of wisdom. And thank you judges for being here. And I do want to say thank you to the Beacon State Fund and Sempra Energy for providing this grant and the money to put these webinars on. And lastly, I'd like to thank Governor Greg Abbott and our First Lady, Cecilia Abbott, for what they do for the great state of Texas. And I will say lastly is go local, vote, shop on Main Street, eat on Main Street, and keep this great state of Texas great. Bye, everybody.
Bye.